Okay. A couple of things we can talk about. Now, after the Great Skedaddle, now they're admitting they left a lot of people. Well, actually, another thing that keeps coming up now too is the service dogs that were left at the airport. Well, a lot of these, or I think all of these service dogs are actually, they aren't military dogs, they're contractor dogs. You have to understand, a lot of this stuff being done over there was being done by contractors. It wasn't all military stuff, like even the, I know there was a squabble because the guards at the British embassy, they were all Afghans, but they were contracted by a Canadian company to do the guarding. Now, when the British were all leaving, they bring them to the plane, and then they say, well, good luck. They were going to leave them all because they were contractors. Well, the public got a hold of that and ended up, I think they had to take them all too. But they had no intention to, and they felt no obligation to. And we're very much the same. Contractors weren't part of the military, so, and the dogs that the contractors had, that they were using for security, just like our military dogs, but the difference is our military dogs are actually, we are responsible for them, the government is. They actually rank higher than their handlers do. So when it came time to leave, they took the military dogs, but they felt no obligation to take the contractor service dogs. That was up to the contractors. Well, the contractors really felt no obligation to them. They had served their purpose. They were going to get the hell out and just leave the dogs. So the dogs are running around at the airport. Now, hopefully, evidently the Turks are going to come in and run the commercial airport. The civilian side of this. Now, the Afghans have no use for these dogs, except for something to play with, in horrible ways. They consider them unclean. Hopefully, maybe the Turks will be a little better about it. Maybe they can get that straightened out, because my understanding, the Turks are going to move in rather quickly to take control of this, for the Afghans. This might be beneficial in getting people out in the end too, but a lot of these people that got left behind, particularly the U.S. citizens, that's really going to be a ransom deal. You probably won't hear about it, but it's going to be a ransom deal. We don't negotiate with terrorists, but we do all the time. So there's going to be a really steep price to pay to get those people out. Even the, there were private contractors that were willing to fly people out, but they wanted like $6,000 a head, if you can get to the airport, that kind of thing. So it'll be a messy operation getting the actual American citizens out, and it'll be very costly. But for the Afghans that were working as interpreters and stuff, I think they are screwed. I mean, there might be some of them, the higher profile, like the one, there was a picture of the one that kind of saved Biden's ass once there, once before. Well, they might be a little obligated to try to get him out, but ones like that. But boy, there's a lot of them that are going to be, they're in a world of hurt. But the ones that actually have U.S. citizenship, even some of them have dual citizenship, it might be all right. But it's gonna cost money, and we'll pay it. We got no hesitation about printing out more money. It's funny because they say, "Oh yeah, they're in a world of hurt now. They got no money." I saw pallet loads of cash sitting there that we left. I don't think they're really short of money, but the one thing we did was to seize their accounts for the country. But part of this hostage situation will be to release that money, because we're hanging on to a lot of cash that ain't ours. But that's with a lot of countries, we're that way. But we have lost, they keep saying, diplomacy. We'll get them up with diplomacy. It won't be, like I said, it'll be a hostage thing, but we have no position to work from diplomatically, except to pay the ransom. Because we have burned every bridge with every country in the world. Well, all of our allies. The funny part, like I say, Turkey is going to run the airport, but Turkey doesn't really trust us. They haven't for a long time, since we really tried to overthrow their government in a sneaky sort of way. And we're still pissy because they bought Russian air defense system. So the Turks are smart. They don't trust us, but they might be willing to help a little bit in getting our citizens out. But you have to remember, a lot of them citizens that are there, that were there in the first place, they were contractors. They were hesitant to leave because, my God, like I say, a lot of stuff was being done by contractors. There was a great deal of money being made by them. You really don't want to leave a deal like that. Though, like the embassy guards for the UK, the company that hired them fired them right away. You're on your own. Good luck. But that's the way we are. You're all good and well when we can use you, but if we can't use you, you're no more valuable than them dogs. They'll abandon them. But I got the feeling a lot of those, like the people that were working security, they will be hunting them down, because we don't have a feeling of value to them. At the moment, to us, they're just a nuisance. So for the Taliban, it'll be sport. But that's the way it works. The way it always works. I think they probably will make an effort to get those dogs, because that was in the news. You see the videos of dogs running around. The people, that's another matter, unless they can claim to be U.S. citizens. But when they talk about, like there was a school of the Americas there, well, that's, we do a lot of that. We've done a lot of that in Central America, where we have the School of America, but it's like a propaganda thing, just breeding CIA assets. It really isn't a regular school, so to speak. Though I'm sure a lot of diplomats had their kids going there, but they all got the hell out. But for normal Afghan citizens that were going to that school, it's a little touchier. But it's gonna drag on for a while. It's gonna be really ugly, but it is gonna be one of them things where you probably won't hear very much about it. You know, the news media stepped up a little bit when this was going on because it was such a hellacious disaster. But now they're kind of wanting to forget this and go back to talking about how great Biden is. Though, boy, that's hard to, it's hard to get that line across. You know, people look at him and they just know that there's nothing going on in there. You know, it'd be really great. I mean, people want to impeach him and all that, but I tell you, it isn't just him. There's like a dozen of those people that all need to be gone. That are just beyond hope. You just need to get rid of them. Hopefully they can accomplish something there, but it ain't going to be easy. You know, if they could get rid of Pelosi, it would be a great thing. You know, and they was worried about, if we get rid of Biden, then we got Harris, so she won't last long. You know, I'm not too concerned about her. You know, she's so obviously useless. They have a hard time covering for her anyway. They got to spend all their effort on Biden, you know, trying to keep him up, but that's beyond hopeless. But you got to get rid of them three at least, you know, because they're in the line of succession there, and you can't have Pelosi getting in there. That would be. I don't really think she wants it, but she'd like to control who gets in there. But I think, you know, they got to have somebody they can handle, and they can't handle Harris. I mean, it would be impossible to make that work. You know, Biden has been malleable, but he's so obviously out of it that they can't keep that up for much longer. But I think, like I say, this will drag out. This isn't a new thing, you know, the taking hostages and holding them for ransom. That's been going on since the Crusades or before that, you know. So, yeah, that'll happen. And we'll deny that we paid. Just like we denied we were charging people to come out. You know, though we really, that was their intention. But it's so funny, you know, because here's all these people. You know, we got a load of riffraff out of there. And they are going to be nothing but a problem here. You know, I'm sure some of them will be fine, but I think, you know, the vast proportion of them was men. Though every time you see it on television, it's all women and children. Men here and there, but it's like 90% men. And they really don't have control of them. They're mad now. The people they brought over are getting really pissed because, you know, they had a good life over there until things went to shit. I mean, they all had houses and cars and good jobs, and there was all kinds of bribing you could do, and it was great. Now they come over here, they got nothing, and they're depending on our government for handouts, but we can't possibly give them enough to make them happy. So that's going to go really bad. And I would say, I was going to say a month, but it wouldn't even surprise me if we had a bombing before that here. You know, the idea was fight them over there so we don't have to fight them here. We're going to be fighting them here forever now. We've got a whole pile of them here that we brought over, not counting the ones in we let across the border. You know, so we're going to have, you know, we've been fairly isolated from that sort of thing. You know, it's been going on in European countries for a long time, but we evidently didn't learn from that. So we got a load of them to deal with now. But it's funny, you know, because the dog thing, that got people fired up. And rightfully so, but you know, people, they know how to tug on people. You know, if they kill an Afghan or two, you're never even going to hear about it. You know, they did that when they did a drone strike and they wiped out a whole family. Yeah, you know, normal procedure. But if they start killing off them dogs, people are going to be up in arms. In fact, there's a lot of people now that are already saying, we got to go back in there. Odds are good that we, you know, hopefully we learn a lesson, but I doubt it. I think we'll be back in. Maybe not there, maybe in Pakistan, you know, but well, we'll be poking around behind the scenes all the time because this is the kind of thing the CIA lives for, you know, to do that sort of skullduggery. But they really aren't very good at it. But I think you'll see it gradually, or rather quickly, fade out of the news. I mean, they're already really trying to, you know, that was 4 or 5 days ago. Let's say that was 4 or 5 days ago. It doesn't matter now. Now we got to worry about other stuff. But it'll come back to haunt us. And then Biden patting himself on the back saying, boy, we really did a bang-up job. But there's at least a dozen of them people in the military, in the State Department. A whole pile of them people just need to be gone. For this level of incompetence, it just can't be tolerated. They just need to be gone. Not saying there won't be just as much crap coming up from below them. But it's funny, you know, if I get into this I'll get into trouble again, but to do with the FDA and their approving that vaccine. There's a dirty word. A couple of the top people quit right away. You know, they said that we, you know, of the FDA people said, what are we here for? You know, we can't do our job. It's all political now. It has nothing to do with the science, you know. So they're out of there. But I heard, I don't know if it was one of these two, but somebody that was responsible for this FDA approval now suddenly is working for Pfizer. You know, it's like all these military people that suddenly they're working for the military contractors. A lot of money is going to be floating around. Well, it is now, I mean, but there's going to be a lot more floating around. And at the same time, our dollar just keeps losing value. But I think China's ready to step into Afghanistan, so you can keep your iPhones and your electric cars. That's not going to be a problem. There's all the lithium they can dig out of the ground. And they're good at that sort of thing. I think they're already doing a lot of that sort of thing in Australia, which is probably why Australia is going all to hell. They're getting pretty weird. But Canada's going all to hell. You know, a lot of countries just falling apart. world is taking a pretty strange turn. But I do think, when when I was growing up, it was way back in Eisenhower and Kennedy, there were shenanigans going on then too. But not so blatant as it is now. But life was pretty good back then compared to what people are growing up with now. I guess that makes sense that kids are as screwed up as they are when the world is as screwed up as it is. Oh well, it's got longer than I wanted it to. But I was just going to say, I think the dogs will be all right in the end. The Afghans, I think, are screwed. American citizens will get out, for the most part, but at a very high price, and if we don't pay it, there will be examples made. Well, so good luck to them, but they're going to need it. Because our State Department is going to do them no good. Diplomacy is going to be of no use. Not with these people that are running things. If you don't get them out of there, they're going to all be goners.